Knock, knock. Who's there? Shoot me in the face. End of joke. I'm gonna sing a song. Shoot me at the end of it. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Bong. I noticed you haven't shot me in the face. Curious as to why. Maybe you're weighing the moral pros and cons, but let me assure you that, oh my God, shoot me in the goddamn face! What are you waiting for?
What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of our Coffee and Beer Fueled General Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Vin Hill, and joining me as always is my co-host from the opposite time zone, Evan Piotrowski.
Hello, hello.
It's June 30th, 2019, and today we're going to talk about some side quests and some other stuff. But first, Evan, what have you been playing, man? What's been on your hot list this week?
All right, I'm actually been playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but I ended up picking it up for cheaper than I could get it on sale on the PlayStation Store. Like, I walked into a Book Off, which is like a used bookstore in Japan.
I love this. It's better than the hardware store, which sort of goes along with it. What's that called again?
Hard Off.
Hard Off. That's it.
Yeah,
I remember.
That's more like that. That's more great. like used electronics and stuff. But
right.
Yeah, I popped into Book Off because I had to go get my visa extended. There's a Book Off close to the immigration office, and yeah, they had Shadow of the Tomb Raider there for like $18. Which is cheap,
right?
For
yeah,
Japan.
For Japan, that's really good.
And I found a physical copy of Hyper Light Drifter for like $20.
Oh, that is dope.
I couldn't believe it.
I've been wanting to get a physical copy of that game. I've played through that game twice. I love it. But have you played it? Have you been enjoying that one?
No, so on later episodes, I'll have to go into Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Hyper Light Drifter. I'm going to withhold my judgment on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but
okay.
There's a couple things in the beginning of that game that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But anyways,
right.
I finished, since last episode, I started and finished Hollow Knight.
Ooh! Oh, you finished it? Wow. Okay, because you mentioned
30 hours. 30 hours it took.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were gonna play it, but wow, you got through it pretty quick. I knew it was a pretty long game, so 30 hours. Like, how is it? What's it like?
It's long,
right?
It's a bit long. Like,
does it drag? Is that what you mean, or?
The cool thing about it is, like, one of the best things about Metroidvania is finding a new area.
Right.
And usually to break up the monotony of going back and forth in a single area, the new area has to be different in some way to kind of breathe life back into the game after, a lot of backtracking and stuff that goes hand in hand with Metroidvania. So there are so many areas in this game, and they're very varied. So you're getting bored with the new area, and then all of a sudden you come across the hive where like the bees live. Of course.
So well, let's backtrack a little bit. Like, what's the game actually about? Like, so you said it was a Metroidvania, but like, is there a story to it? Is it anything like that? Or
yeah, story's really, really good. It's one of those stories that the second you finish it, you immediately go online and watch some 40-minute video about Hollow Knight explained.
Yeah, I like it when that happens.
It's a bit vague. Like, basically, you're like this hollow shell you don't really know what's going on. You're inhabited by this like spirit, and you're in this world of bugs. Like, everyone's a bug.
Oh, okay.
But they don't like look like bugs. Like, it's very, very stylized, kind of like hand-drawn artwork, but it's super smooth. It doesn't look like a Flash game or anything like that. That's good. The funny thing is, this is probably the first game where the idea of how a Metroidvania is built out makes sense, because the whole world is inhabited by various insects and spiders and whatnot, and you're going underground through these labyrinthine tunnels where insects would actually live.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the only Metroidvanias where the layout of the areas makes sense because they live in tunnels underground. So
interesting.
Like ants and stuff. So yeah, you're just this little knight. You come across this place called Hollow Nest, which is like this great kingdom that's just gone to ruin. And like all the insects and stuff you find underground are all these like husks of their former selves, and they just like attack you without prejudice. And so you kind of find out, like, how did Hollow Nest fall? How did this great kingdom of Hollow Nest fall? So there's like there's ruins, and you come across there's lots of visual storytelling. Like you'll see like giant skeletons of like beetles, and there's like tomes that you can read, and it's like very very vague about like what's going on. So you kind of slowly but surely piece together what has happened.
Right.
But yeah, it's good. The story is really really good. Some stuff it's kind of like you watch the video explaining what's happening. Like, oh, okay, I get it. It's not like Bloodborne
Okay.
level of like what the fuck just happened. And also that video that explained it didn't help at all.
That ending of Bloodborne, I'm sorry, just the true ending or what? No, it didn't make any sense at the time.
I think the two things that I constantly go back to are like Kingdom Hearts and like Bloodborne videos. I forget what happened,
right,
and then I have to like go back and like watch some YouTube
Refresh
summary
yourself.
of exactly. Yeah, Hollow Knight is not like that, but
Okay.
in terms of the mechanics, it's a Metroidvania. You start out with this little, they call it a nail, which is cool. This little sword, and you go through areas and you find power ups. You get charms that you can. They're like basically like materia that you, but like you have to get these little notches.
Yeah.
And certain charms take up a certain amount of notches. So like if you want a really powerful charm, it'll take up most of your notches. But if you want some of the weak charms, you can attach more of those types of thing. Stuff like it makes your swipe longer. It makes you dash quicker. It makes you faster. When you're healing, you heal quicker. Those types of things.
Sweet.
It's hard, man. That game's pretty hard. I don't know. Have you heard the general consensus on this game being pretty hard?
Yeah, everyone says it's pretty hard, but everyone says it's pretty decent as well, like a really good game. So, I mean, I picked it up a couple of weeks ago. I haven't booted it up yet. I've got it on the Switch. I'm not sure like when I'm going to get around to it because I've been playing a couple of other games, which I'll get around to in a minute. But obviously, from the sound of things, it sounds like you're pretty okay on it, but you're not like up to the hype as everyone else.
Challenge. I think it's a great game. Challenge wise, I don't think it's that hard. It's frustrating. The boss battles are very challenging. You will die several times before you get their pattern. It's pattern memorization.
Right.
You will die.
The
frustrating thing about the game is you can only save on benches, which kind of reminds me of Eco a little bit. I wonder if they got that from there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so you save on benches, and it's similar to Persona in the way where like in Persona 4 you can go into dungeons and like kind of get not tricked but push yourself to do like 2 more levels.
I see what you mean.
Or 2 more floors of a dungeon than you should without saving.
So you're basically gambling.
You're gambling, right. Yeah, and then you die, and it's like boom, you lost all of that progress. Okay. Now you won't lose specific like if you've uncovered a new area, once you die, it'll be written on your map. But what happens is, let's just say you're on a bench and you just start exploring, and you get really really far away from the bench, like going through whatever 25 minutes of traversal, and you die. You start back at the last bench that you saved at, and you lose all of your fucking money. It's like the Dark Souls.
Right.
So you have to go back to where you died and defeat your shadow self in order to get your money back. And you have 1 try to do that. So it's totally Dark Souls. I don't care about that because defeating your shadow self is really easy.
Okay.
And there's a bank. You can go to this like little bug bank and like put your money in just in case you die and you don't want to like lose all your money.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's definitely that thing where like I've been exploring a lot and then I've died. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go all the way back there. That type of frustration. So,
yeah.
And you can die, like there's parts where you can just kind of accidentally die.
Yeah, I'm because like I was recently playing Shovel Knight, and it's kind of a similar thing, like just how like that game can be really bullshit sometimes, like and how it can kill you, like and when you just fall down a hole, you're like, oh fuck, it just and all your stuff is like, 'cause it's a similar thing like where it drops your stuff and you've got to go and retrieve it like Dark Souls, but sometimes like where the stuff is floating is just like inaccessible sort of thing. It's just like that sort of frustration. Yeah. It's just like, oh fuck this game, you know, like I hate when that sort of stuff happens. But yeah, it sounds like you're enjoying it though, like for the most part.
Yeah, I bought the DLC pack, you know, on a sale, which I realized later. So I went back in, and I'm currently fighting the boss in the DLC pack, and I can't beat him. He's fucking hard. So it's really really good. I'd say the last thing is it's got a cool kind of mechanic where, okay, so you have like a little heart pieces they're not hearts, they're just like heads, like little bug heads.
Yeah.
And anytime you get hit, you lose one. Some enemies take off two. Anytime you hit an enemy, this like a white liquid comes out of them, which you can bank into like this meter. And once the meter's, well, you can use it at any time. Once the meter's full enough, if you hold the circle button down, you can absorb that white liquid and add it and get life from it.
Oh, okay.
So it basically replenishes your hit points.
Yeah.
What is the trade off is you have to be completely stationary, and it takes like a full 2 seconds before it starts replenishing your life, because you see, like, you know how in God of War when you'd like in God of War 3 when you'd get an upgrade, you'd have to hold the button down and you see like the omega sign meter would be filling up slowly.
Yeah, so you couldn't do it in combat sort of thing.
No, you can't. So, but you can get charms that make it quicker. So like in boss battles, it's a trade-off between like waiting for an opening to where you can get to the left side of the screen and quickly heal before the boss hits you, type of thing.
Right.
So you're but the good thing is anytime you hit something, you'll absorb stuff to refill that meter, and then you can like charge to add it to your health. So it's an interesting mechanic, and that helps you from dying all the time. But it's dude, if you like Metroidvanias, you get like 10 hours into this game and you're like, yes, this is exactly what I want.
Awesome.
Type of thing. Yeah. Very, very quickly, the last thing is you don't just uncover the map as you're going through the area. You have to, in each new area, you have to find the map maker.
Well, like a little cartographer or something.
Yeah. He's a bug cartographer. And so if you go into a new area, you press the map button. It's like, you don't have a map for this area. A lot of people complained about that. I loved it because I loved trying to search for him.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, this, like, we've had this conversation before, like taking away the mystery of a game. Like, if you just get given a map straight away and you know exactly where everything is, like, that sort of ruins it for me. Because, like, it's the same reason why I don't really like Far Cry games that much, because the map just opens up and it's just icons and like, what's to explore, man? Like, I've seen everything now, and yeah, so like that appeals to me as well. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, so I just love the idea, like, you go into a new place, you're like, do I keep pushing forward? Do I go back and save? Do I go back to the bank and put my money in because I don't know exactly where I'm going to find this guy? Yeah. And then one neat thing is, like, 2 or 3 screens away from where he is, you'll see little pieces of paper kind of strewn about the level, and you'll hear him kind of whistling.
That's cool.
So you know that he's close. So
Right.
they help you out there. But yeah, it's a Metroidvania with some kind of Dark Souls style stuff. It's frustrating with the bench stuff, but if you just are a bit careful of saving properly and you're not averse to like learning like pattern based bosses and a bit of quick reflexes and stuff like that, you should be totally fine. I think you'd like it, and the art's great. The world is really, really cool. A lot of people
have mentioned that it looks beautiful. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I've picked it up. I'm definitely going to get around to this one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely filed under the holy shit, why did I not play this sooner?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like that as well.
Yeah, Doom 16 being the other game in recent memory type of thing. But yeah, it's really, really good. So cool. What have you been playing?
This week I've been playing a little game which came out not too long ago called Days Gone. And I just finished this yesterday.
You just finished it as well.
Just finished it, yeah.
All right, so we know what the general Metacritic score and consensus was on this game. Where do you fall along that line?
Dude, I have played thousands of games, right? This has to be the first one that I've played which consistently seesaws between being really great and really bad. Just over and over again, over and over. And it never, like, and I don't mean that in the sense like, oh, it's balanced out in between. It's just like a good game sort of thing. No, like as you're playing the game, there's just moments where like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then it just instantly flips back to, wow, this is really bad. And it just goes back and forth like that all the way through the game. So I think that's why there is so much sort of contention surrounding this game, like on all of the reviews. Like, because if you watch the reviews, like outside of the technical things, like people have a lot of good stuff to say about it. It's just, it has so many weird little issues in between some really, really great stuff. And I heard someone like do a review on it and they said it's a diamond in the rough, but it's not a diamond in the rough as in saying like it's a great game in a sea of bad games. No, it's a great game within a bad game of itself, if that makes sense, you know. And that's the
Interesting.
only, and you have to really dig down deep because like there's some really great stuff in there, and it's you know it's a typical sort of Sony first party game. It's a third person open world action adventure game with zombies. You ride around on a bike and you're just basically trying to get through the story of this main character, which is his name is Deacon, and he's just basically trying to survive and do all that sort of stuff. It's kind of like The Last of Us. You can definitely tell like the influences which they took from that. But
Oh,
it's a bit
totally.
more it's a bit more lighthearted though. Has obviously the mechanic of being in an open world, and you've got the motorcycle that adds like a whole new level. But yeah, like I said, man, there's just so many weird like cons and pros to this game. Like you could just list them all out. Like the pros of it, like the first time you see a horde in this game, like it was the thing that they pushed at E3 when it first got announced. And when you see it in game and you see a horde running towards you, like I've never actually physically panicked before like that in a game. And
Yeah,
just
it's kind of
holy shit.
what it's
It's
there
really
for, right?
impressive. Yeah, it's
Okay.
really, really impressive.
This is one criticism that I heard about the hordes is it doesn't seem like, or at least some people said, like you can't really full on like win against a horde till like way late game, which
Yep, it's totally true.
which they said is kind of disappointing because the first thing we saw about the game was the horde thing. So I thought like, oh, you're going to be tackling these hordes throughout the entire game.
I mean, at the same time, like I sort of like the fact that they do leave it until the later game, because like the whole time you're playing the game, whenever you run into a horde, you're just like, holy shit, that's a horde, and like you're physically like panicking from it, and you're just like, oh, I need to get away from that thing. It's terrifying.
Right.
And so the game is training you basically to say, hey, you should be scared of this, because if you go near them, like they fuck you up. Like it's seriously, like they just swarm you, and it's just, and when you see them like rolling over the hills, just like swinging at you, you're just like, oh, that looks real, man.
I guess that does make sense. Like you saw that, you would fucking run. Like you're not,
Right, and
you're
you
not
do.
taking that on.
And you do for the first half of the game. You know,
Right.
you run away. You're just like, fuck that. I'm never going to be able to do it. And then they slowly introduce these new mechanics where you can start to take them on. You know, like you get explosives and you get like timed explosives, and you start getting these like crazy Molotovs, and you know, all these little things, and they eventually contribute to you being able to take these things on. So when you do eventually do it, like you actually get a decent sense of achievement out of that. So that's why I sort of disagree with that point, you know, where people say, oh, you should be able to do horde straight away, because if you could, the game would be dead in the water. Like it's like it would have fired off all its cylinders straight away, and it would have been bad.
Yeah, it's like you start out a Castle Metroidvania game with the double jump. It's like, oh, come on, man. Like I need to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of great moments. Like the story has a lot of heart, but like it's just fumbled by weird pacing. So like between every cutscene, there's a weird load-in screen that happens, and the loading screens are really, really long. The game looks beautiful, but there's so many like weird technical issues. Like the textures don't load in when you go into certain towns, so everyone looks like a PS2 game for like 5 minutes, sort of thing. And it's just weird stuff like that. And there's so much potential like underneath like the surface of this game, but it never quite, you know, reaches that level of greatness, which it is there, but you have to really dig down deep for it. And I hate saying this, you know, I hate being one of those guys that say, oh, you know, the game gets really good in hour 20, you know, sort of thing. But it is kind of like that. Like it gets better as it goes. And it's completely flipped to like a lot of other games where like they try and impress you at the start, but the game really impresses you towards the end.
Okay.
Even though it has its problems.
Is there enough in that first 20 hours to, as a carrot on the stick type of thing? Like you will be having fun until, you know, when the game gets good, but you just kind of have to chug along a bit, but it's still fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably argue no, there isn't, but and it's strange. Like I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff where people are saying, "Oh, this game's terrible. It's horrible." And then like the next video that they've done after that, it's like I was wrong about Days Gone. Like I really enjoyed it. Like towards the last half, sort of thing. Because the game is like way better in the last half. Like the first half, it's kind of boring, you know. But if you stick through it, like it is a decent game, and that's why like I wouldn't recommend it at full price. Like wait for a sale and chip through it, because I think there's going to be some people that really enjoy this game. Because ultimately, I think what the problem is, and you can tell when you play it, like that game really needed another 6 months of development. It just needed it. And I feel sorry for Sony, and I feel sorry for Bend at the same time. Like both of them, like both parties involved, sort of thing. I think Sony Bend were inexperienced. Like they've only been doing handheld games so far, and this is like their first big title. They got this game delayed like 3 times or something, and they probably asked for a little bit more, and Sony was like, no, we need to put this thing out now, otherwise it's not going to make any profit. So like I totally get that, but at the same time, like I really, really hope that Sony give them another chance and they either get a sequel for this game, or they fund them for another game, because they've got so much potential, and it's just it's such a weird, contentious game to sort of talk about, because it's sort of impossible to say if it's good or bad, because it's both, know. So I would recommend it. Don't buy it for full price.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be a game that I will purchase at some point, because I tend to enjoy like third person, kind of like over the third person action games.
It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite genre.
When it comes to like these third person games that have a bit of like weird stuff going on in them, like I'm kind of totally fine with that. Like in Shadow of the Tomb Raider I was playing yesterday, in the beginning you're at the Festival for the Dead in Mexico, and you're in this alleyway, and there's this drunk guy sitting on a pile of trash. He's got like beer bottles strewn about on the floor, and he's holding one. And I just kind of like glance over, and like there's bottle caps in all the beers. I'm like, did someone?
There's a lot.
Did anyone play this game? Like no one caught that, and they're like bright green, so it's not even like it was super obvious to me. But whatever, that's such a small thing, but it's one of those things where like I can see a bit of like weird technical issues or jank or whatever. Like I don't know what you want to call them, like B grade, A- grade, like third person kind of action adventure games. I love them.
This is the thing. Like, I mean, it's got a lot of technical issues like that, where it's small things which you can sort of get over. But there's also like design decisions which you made in the game, which they're not going to be able to change, because they are still fixing it. Like they're working on it. Like a patch came out yesterday, like half an hour after I finished the game, which I wasn't very happy about, because it fixed a load of issues which I had problems with. But yeah, they are working on it, but there's just fundamental things which they can't change, because it's like core mechanics of the game. Like if you're in a camp or something, you got all these people around you and you've got no quests to do, like main missions, side quests, nothing. Like you've got nothing to do. Like, all right. So every single time, like the second you leave the camp on your bike, they'll all start calling you, like on your walkie-talkie, like, hey, can you come back to camp? I've got a quest for you.
Okay. One of those.
And it's shit like that. And it doesn't actually trigger until you leave, sort of thing. So the amount of times I had to leave a camp and then turn around and come back to it just to get the fucking quest, it's like, dude, I was just there. Like, why? But like you sort of realize, like, because they sort of ran out of time, they probably put that in because they didn't have time to make all the cutscenes of like the people like talking and asking you to go and do something for them.
Right.
So like it's weird things like that. So I mean, they are fixing it. They are still working on it. So like pick it up in a couple of months, maybe. Like they're adding free DLC to it. There's like a horde mode, like a survival horde mode, which is a ton of fun in the game at the minute. I'm having a blast with that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just this weird sort of back and forth which the game has. But I do recommend it, but I don't recommend it at full price. Like, and I hope that Sony sort of give them another chance. But
yeah, that's cool. It totally looks like a game. It's like, yep, I'm going to play this game. It's just a matter of when. So I'll probably pick it up later this year.
Yeah, do it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like, oh, don't buy it, it's terrible. Like, ignore them reviews. Like it is worth the time that you put into it. But if you don't finish it, it's not the end of the world. The game has got a lot of heart. The story is pretty decent. Like if you can get over like the really aggressive nature of like the main character, which is like unnecessarily like aggressive, like shouts at people and stuff, and like he is a bit of a dick at first, but over time you start to sort of get used to him, and you see like he's just got like this burly sort of biker man sort of attitude to him, and the way that he shows his emotions, I guess, like in a post-apocalyptic world, is a little bit more subtle. But you start to read that, and you get used to that, and it is decent. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll see. But I did just start the Resident Evil 2 remake, so I'll probably pick that up next week at some point. But moving on, man, we should talk about our main topic this week. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about side quests.
Yes, memorable side quests.
And what makes a good side quest and all that sort of good stuff. So the way we're going to do this is we're just going to list like a few of our favorite side quests and just talk about what makes them good, I guess. So do you want to kick us off, man? Like what's your first side quest to sort of hone all this in?
All right, so I have to be careful here, like I said before, because most of what I could talk about, with given the amount of time we have, could all be just Witcher 3 side quests.
Right, okay.
And I'm not even doing that like as a joke or anything. Like that game it's probably the best side quests. the side quests are better than the main story, and not only that, both DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood and
I've
Wine,
heard this before.
are
Yeah, I
better
have
than
heard
the
this
actual
before.
game, like by a
They
lot.
actually mention this quite a lot, like in all the reviews that I've ever seen for The Witcher 3. Like it's always, oh, the side quests are amazing. Like the main story is even a bit lackluster compared to it, sort of thing. And it's like, oh wow, that's so. It sounds like them boys know what they're doing.
Yeah, which makes me excited for Cyberpunk 2077 because they know how to do
Yeah.
side quests, and that game is like you can just see like seedy alleyway dealing, which turns into this long side quest, and like
So
the
much
world
potential,
building,
yeah.
the characters, all that type of stuff. So to kick this off, and this is a side quest that I loved from the beginning in The Witcher 3. There is a sorceress, I guess she's a sorceress, who's kind of hiding out because there's a baron in the area that has a price on her head. No, I think the king has a price on her head. So she's hiding out in the boonies, just helping people with like general ailments, just like making stuff and kind of laying low. And
Okay.
I've only played The Witcher 3, so Geralt and this woman Kira, they know each other from the other games. So people that have been continuing with the series will be like, "Oh, Kira's back," type of thing. I didn't know who she was.
Right. Okay.
So you end up helping her, and I don't remember why, but you go to this place called the Fike Islands, which is it's just an island where there was a.
Is there ficus trees? Is that why it's called Fike Island?
I don't know. How do you?
I'm joking, obviously. But
the side quest is called Tower Full of Mice. So you go to this island, and everyone's dead. There's no one there anymore. It's completely deserted. There's like a giant tower. There's like a broken down village. Either people are dead or they've left the island, and it's basically only inhabited by mice, and of course ghouls and shit, and drowners and all these things that pop up in The Witcher 3. So you go to this island with her, and one thing I think is going to be a through line with these side quests is I love side quests that start out with a mystery.
Right.
Because it kind of pushes you. It's like, all right, let's figure out what's going on here. I want to know what's going on. So, this place has a giant rat population, and you start to slowly unravel or figure out what happened on the island and why no one is there. And you end up going to this giant tower, which is like a mage's lab, I guess. And once you get to the tower, you meet the ghost of the Lord's daughter named Annabelle. And I guess what you find out is the mage in the tower had been experimenting with rats and infecting them with a disease. And one day the peasants came, and they from the mainland, and they tried to kill everyone because of the experiments. It's kind of that thing like, oh, like magic is evil. Like we're afraid of the unknown and what we don't know. So the peasants come to try to take the tower, and this woman Annabelle, who's this ghost, is telling you what happened. She was scared that she was going to get killed, so she drank this potion that this mage had given her. It's basically like she would rather take the cyanide pill than be murdered, type of thing.
Right.
So she thought the potion was going to kill her, and it actually just paralyzed her, and just it's like it put her into like a slumber. So it was like almost like this potion that like she appeared dead. Unfortunately, what happened was it's basically like waking up on the operation table because the anesthetic didn't work properly. She wakes up still paralyzed, but and the rats in the tower end up eating her alive. Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Okay. How'd you find all this out then? Like in the game, is this through just like text dialogue trees, or is it like are you actively like sort of figuring stuff out like as you do this?
You're figuring it out. So like you're going, once you get into the tower, you see like there's like all these rats. There's like dead bodies and stuff, and Geralt and Kira are kind of discussing what had happened. So they're trying to fill in the dots by looking at the tower. Like Geralt has the I forgot what it's called. It's like the Witcher vision, which is what like in Horizon Zero Dawn they took that from The Witcher, where you can that's
so you just scan the area,
and like if you see footprints, it's highlighted in red, and then you can follow the footprints and kind of figure out like detectives type stuff. So very very similar to Horizon Zero Dawn. So you're doing a bit of that.
They have the exact same thing in Days Gone. Just a heads up.
Okay,
like, it's the exact same thing. It's like Hunter's Vision or whatever.
Right. I'm fine with that kind of like it makes more sense.
It's a cool mechanic.
It makes more sense in The Witcher because he's a Witcher. He has a power, and then in Horizon she has that technology, right? So
yeah.
I don't know about Deacon, what's going on with him, but
he's just really good at hunting deer, and it's sort of like he's
he's just really good at hunting deer.
I mean, he's a super redneck. What can I say? But yeah, anyway, back to The Witcher 3.
So basically, there a lot of what like The Witcher's about. There's like curses born out of like hate.
Right.
And jealousy and stuff like that. So you find out that the curse on the island is probably because of her, because of she died in a horrible way and her soul's still tied to this world. Trying to speed this up here. I think Geralt says like to break the curse, you probably need like only love can break this curse. And so then you find out that Annabelle actually had a lover that believes that she's died, and he's on the mainland. So, I think she holds a it's been so long since I played this. She holds a grudge against him for not doing something for her or whatever. So, it's like basically, okay, we're gonna bring Graham to the island. You guys can make an amends, break the curse, and your soul will be set free, type of thing. After she tells you her story, and then Geralt says like, well, okay, the only way this curse can be broken is by love. And I guess what happened is Graham ran away from the island, so she holds this grudge against him for like leaving her and maybe blaming him for partly what happened.
Okay.
So you can either take her bones to Graham,
Jesus,
or bring Graham to the island.
Can you imagine that conversation? Hey, Graham, here you go. Like, here's some bones. By the way, this is your ex-wife.
So. Yeah, you can either refuse her request or bring the bones to Graham. And what happens is, if you bring her bones to Graham and you explain the story, when you leave, you hear this giant scream.
Oh, Jesus.
And when you run back, Graham's dead, and she's turned into this plague maiden, which is basically like this manifestation of her jealousy, and she's turned into this like
interesting
these extra or this unearthly ghost beast type of thing. So you're like, oh shit. So I think what I did is that happened to me. I'm like, I'm going to reload my save. So what ends up happening is you tell Graham what happened. You bring him to the island. She turns into the plague maiden, but you're there to fight her off.
Mm.
And then basically...
It sounds pretty reactionary then. Like you've got different options to sort of tackle this, and it has different outcomes at the end then.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, what happens is you fight off the Plague Maiden, and then you go and get Graham and convince him to come to the island.
Right.
And then they make amends, and they meet one more time, and her ghost is able to go away, and he ends up dying.
Yeah. So it sounds like Graham has a bad time no matter what happens, in my opinion.
Yeah. They kiss, and he ends up dying, and her ghost is freed, and the curse is lifted from the island. So the reason I like this quest is it actually has no bearing on the rest of the story. It is a singular story that takes place on this island. But a couple of the things that I like about it are, one, you go in, there's this mystery, it slowly unfolds before you. And there's just enough backstory there that makes it like really interesting. Like Annabelle as a character, Graham as a character, the role they played in this type of thing. And then you get this choice, which is, The Witcher it's a very dark world. Mm-hmm. Both choices, everyone dies, but at least one choice is technically the better choice because they're able to like settle things and kind of break the curse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of curse breaking in The Witcher, but yeah, just all of those elements of it. I just remember, the Tower Full of Mice it's just a super cool, super cool side quest.
It sounds like the important thing for you then is like a self-contained sort of story, I guess. Like, is that what sort of appeals to you, like for a good side quest at least?
I would say so, especially in The Witcher. Like,
I guess it depends on the genre, right?
Yeah, the combat is not the best part of The Witcher, but the actual the world building, the lore, how they flesh out even like the characters in these side quests. They give them enough to that they feel like people living in this world.
Yeah.
And the conversations you have and the choices you have to make is what makes these side quests really, really memorable. It's not actually about the mechanics per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely part of what makes all of those side quests really, really memorable.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, The Witcher 3 is one. It's still a game I haven't got around to, and I will get around to it. I'm probably going to wait for like the inevitable moment where CD Projekt Red announced that they're bringing Witcher 1 and 2 to consoles, like, and sort of modernizing the controls or whatever. Like, I'll probably,
I hope so.
I hope that happens, and then I can play all three of them, because like people just never stop talking about these games. It's just like, all right, Jesus, I'll play them. Leave me alone. But yeah, I mean, the side quests are the thing which people mention more than anything, which people mention, no pun intended. But yeah,
which
that sounds the Witcher
people mention.
Yeah. But no, that sounds cool. I mean, it's like a self-contained little story. Like, it's definitely memorable. I mean, you just tell me, it's like, all right, then what happened, sort of thing. So
yeah,
I like it when
it's super good. And I bet like some people listening are like, man, that isn't even one of the top 20 side quests.
But it's just memorable for you personally, right?
Yeah, and there's plenty of side quests in The Witcher 3, but that goes to show how great the writing is in the lore and the world building. Like, they've made so many great side quests, and this is just one of them.
Sure.
Type of thing.
Awesome.
In terms of like top 5 Witcher 3 side quests, they're kind of interchangeable for me, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen YouTube videos. Like, I've never watched them, but like you see the thumbnails where it's like top 10 Witcher 3 side quests, and it's like, Jesus Christ, 10. Like, most games have like 2. Like,
right,
top 2 sort of thing, but yeah,
and then you scroll down in the comments like, oh, you didn't include
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, fuck that.
But all right, yeah, so that's one of my memorable side quests. Awesome. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think people would be shouting out as if Face McShuey wasn't mentioned at some point in this episode. For people that don't know who Face McShuey is, in Borderlands 2, you'll be casually walking along on your main quest when suddenly you'll just like in the middle of a sort of bandit camp sort of thing, like you're just wandering through first-person shooter RPG sort of game. You're walking through and you just suddenly hear screaming, and you're just like, what the fuck is that? And it's from like a middle-aged dude, and you're like, all right, fair enough, like I'll go and see what that is. And you investigate and you wander over. Super short quest, but you get over there and it's just a guy screaming, and it's like, what the hell? And he's one of the enemies, but he's got a quest icon over the top of his head, and you're like, okay, let's go and talk to this dude then, because like you've never spoken to any of these, like they're just trying to constantly shoot you, I guess. So you walk up to him and you ask him, and he's just screaming at you, and he's like, shoot me in the face. And it's just like, what? Shoot you in the face? And it's like the quest giver is Face McShooty, and it's just like, all right, this is hilarious. And he's just like screaming at you, saying, shoot me in the face, not the knees, not the head, and like all this sort of stuff. And he just wants to be shot in the face. So like you're just like, what the fuck? And you just stand there and you watch him for a while, and he's just dancing around, like pointing at his face and just like saying all these ridiculous things. I might even like cut some of it into like the podcast, like so people can actually hear it.
Shoot me in the face! In the face! Do it! Shoot me in the face! Face, 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 face! Now! Bullet in the face! Want him! Need him! Gimme, gimme, gimme! At the sound of the bell, it will be face shooting o'clock! Bong!
It's comical. It's hilarious. And he's dancing around, like, even if you leave him for a while, he's just super like crazy, but then he suddenly switches to a voice that's like, I suppose you're weighing the morals, like whether you should shoot me in the face. Oh my god, shut up, shoot me in the face. And it's just like eventually like, yeah, all right, I'll shoot him. And like that's pretty much the whole quest that he's given you, like the quest box and stuff. It says shoot Face McShooty in the face. And it's like, all right, so you do it. And the second that the bullet hits his face, you can hear him just say "thank you," and like, and it's like the like collect the quest is like over his dead body sort of thing, and it's like you've done the quest. Like here's some experience, and it just spits at you, totally random, out of the middle of nowhere. One of the funniest, most memorable moments of Borderlands 2. I could sit here and I could maybe talk about 3 main quests from Borderlands 2 because I can't remember shit. Like it's just you shoot a lot of dudes and there's a lot of crazy weapons and it's a super fun game. But that quest, like I remember it through intense detail, like even to this day. And I haven't played that game in like 6 years or something.
Yeah, that definitely is memorable. So basically, the idea here is it's funny It's short and sweet, and it's kind of poking. It's very meta, kind of poking at the idea.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
a side quest.
it's very self-aware.
Yeah.
Like it's that sort of humor. It goes back to the Doom 2016 humor that we've been talking about and stuff. Like that whole, like, it knows what it is. It's just trying to have a fun time. Like you're playing this game and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, it's quite comical, but at that moment, it's like the developers are sort of telling you, like, hey, I know this is ridiculous, but have a bit of fun, sort of thing. And I love that. I think it's absolutely hilarious. But like, just the whole idea of like this guy called Face McShooty, it's just like, oh my god, it's so good. And
yeah,
just go and watch a YouTube video of it. Like, anyone that's listening to this, like, just go watch it. Like, it's
like a minute and 30 seconds long. So
it's super super short, but it's well worth it. And I mean, I think that's like my favorite sort of side quest, I guess, is like the funny ones, because they're the ones that I remember most. But there are like the grandiose ones, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's it's got to be mentioned, and it's probably other people on like that are going to be listening to this just nodding the whole time that I'm saying this, like, yep, that's the one, sort of thing. So yeah, that's my number one. But how about you, man? Like, what's your next one on the list?
There's a little game called Yakuza 6.
I've never heard of this. What's this about? You've never mentioned these games before.
No, I don't think I have.
Do you like them?
Oh yeah, it's really good. One of the best parts about the game is its side quests, and actually going along with what you're saying about funny side quests, those are the most memorable ones in Yakuza. Mm-hmm. So the Yakuza series is a giant seesaw between melodramatic storytelling about like betrayal and justice and
a Japanese game, melodramatic
loyalty, and then like banana peel fucking like vaudeville antics type stuff. Yeah, a Japanese game, is that what it's about? It can be jarring at times, but I think the Yakuza series does it perfectly, and I'm able to separate those two things.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, you're not like, wait a minute, this doesn't kind of mesh well together at all. But in Yakuza 6, you have to go to a small town called Onomichi in Hiroshima Prefecture, and you're walking through a shopping district, and you see this giant like orange, like a, what do you call it, like a mascot head on the ground.
Oh, okay.
And so basically,
like a costume piece,
like a costume, yeah. Okay. So basically, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar. Like they call them Yuru Kyara, which means kind of like unofficial mascots. Mascots are absolutely huge in Japan.
Yeah, everything.
John Oliver even did an episode of Last Week Tonight about mascots in Japan, where not only is every prefecture have its own mascot or unofficial mascot. Towns do, police stations do. Like, I'm walking to work in the morning, and there's a giant fucking bird mascot with a police hat on.
Yeah,
dancing
halls.
around.
I always remember the mascots at the city halls, like always.
Yeah. There's city hall mascots. Yeah, with police officers handing out flyers like, make sure to lock your bikes up, and it's like Tweety McPolice. It's got this crazy name, so it's just part of the culture, right. And it works too, because the whole thing about the mascot is the idea is to sell your services in some way. Mm-hmm. And lots of like city hall or a local shop or the prefecture will sell goods with the mascot on it, and slap it on.
I'd take that further, man. I'd probably say that's the reason why we had mascots in video games in the 80s and 90s. That's why we had Mario and Sonic. I fully believe that,
because it's part of the culture. The Japanese are just the best at it, like design wise. So yeah, like you look at the difference between like Mario and Crash Bandicoot. Like I'm just gonna say it, like a lot of like Spyro and Crash and stuff, like the Western companies trying to do the mascot thing. It comes off now as a bit of what the hell is that dog in The Simpsons? That character they tried to make cool dog Simpsons. What the hell is his name? Poochie.
Oh right, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It was like their take on like trying to create a character that is so about like that specific point in time, but it ages very poorly 5 years later, type of thing. Right. So, anyways,
the orange head.
The orange head. You walk across his head, and then this kind of representative passes by you, and he's like, "Oh no, what I'm going to do? The guy flaked on in the last second. I have no one to hold this mascot meeting." And then, of course, being Kiryu, you get pulled into everyone's little like bullshit story, and he just doesn't say no. and the guy's kind of looking at you, kind of looks you up and down. He's like, actually, you're the perfect size for this outfit. Can you wear it? And you just get, all of a sudden you get roped into wearing this like really, really cheap, shitty mascot for this like town in the middle of nowhere.
Of course.
And the whole idea is like, there's a lot of mascots that are terrible, like just design wise, they're trash, because the artist didn't care, or just like they couldn't think of a good character, and they just like haphazard. Okay, we got to slap this mascot on something. So you're like an orange with a ramen bowl on your head. You've got like, because like ramen's famous in the area, they grow oranges there. It's like every possible thing that's part of Onomichi is like slapped onto this mascot in a very, very like haphazard way. And the outfit looks terrible. And so you get roped into doing this like press conference in the middle of like this parking lot in front of like 15 people.
That's great.
And you get coached a bit about, basically you think you're just going to go say hi to a bunch of people, but then it's like being recorded on TV. And like, you kind of like lean over to the rep. You're like, I didn't sign up for this. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Just, just be yourself. I got to go. And he like leaves you.
Right. Runs away.
And basically earlier you get coached into like what you should be saying. And so then like later in the side quest, you have to like choose the right thing to say. Like what would Onomichio-kun say, type of thing. And it's to make the kids happy because they're like super excited to see this shitty ass character. And then basically like any Yakuza side quest, a bunch of like thugs come by and they're like, hey, you guys are being too loud. This is our turf.
Yes. And you have to start fighting them in the costume. Well, please say this happens.
Then the kids start crying. And then they're like, fuck off, you little rats. And then Kiryu's like, nobody makes kids cry. And then you're like, crack your knuckles. And you're like, time to take out the trash. And then you're in this ridiculous fucking outfit with a giant orange on your head with a ramen bowl. And you just like trash these thugs and just wipe the floor with them. And then all the kids are like, yeah, Onomichio-kun, you did it. And you're like, hey kids, stay in school, type like Captain America, flip the chair around type of thing. And then the side quest ends. So it's just so ridiculous.
Awesome.
Very Japanese, but yeah, it's one of those types of side quests. And funny thing is,
again, self-contained, right?
Yeah, self-contained. There are a couple more Onomichio-kun side quests that pop up later in the game. Right. And eventually it comes to you and the representative have this talk about he actually regrets using you for his own gain of like pushing you to be in this mascot thing. And like everyone kind of learns a lesson and like we all move on with our lives type of thing. Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of like what you should be doing in social situations, or like making the right call, or being mindful of other people's opinions. Like, and then you smash a bike over someone's head. So there's a lot of mixed, not mixed messages, but yeah, it's definitely this seesaw thing in those games, which is really, really fun.
It's hilarious. Well, again, like if you don't take it too seriously, sort of thing, then you could just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. So
right.
But yeah, that sounds hilarious.
So what about you? You got another one?
Yeah. Next one on the list is from Skyrim. And I think a lot of people probably know what I'm going to go to straight away for this as well, for people that have played this game, because I know you haven't played Skyrim.
No, I don't know any. Playing the Fallout games, I would assume that they would have awesome side quests as well in Skyrim.
Yeah, so. I mean, any Bethesda game really, like they're pretty garbage when it comes to the main quest. Like they have main quests, like in Fallout 3 and 4, like you can do them in like 3 hours, sort of thing. Like if you just run, sort of thing. But it's 95% side quests. But the best one and probably the most memorable one out of Skyrim was another funny one, and it was called A Night to Remember. I don't know if you've ever seen the Hangover movie.
Yes. Okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, it's the Hangover in Skyrim. So you basically go into a tavern, you're just doing like your average thing, like you just wander around. There's no quest icon over like this guy's head that you speak to. Like you just say hi to him, sort of thing. It's like, hey, you look like you can handle a drink, and you can answer like, yeah, absolutely, of course I can, sort of thing. So you end up like drinking, and it's just like after a couple of like beers, like you're taking it in turns, and he's like 1 down, 10 more to go, sort of thing. But after like a couple of beers, like you black out and there's a loading screen and you're just like, what the hell? Okay. And this tavern is like near the starting area of the game, sort of thing. So it's pretty close to like where you know the area pretty well. And if you do this quest early on, then it's all good. Like you know where you are. But after the loading screen, like you end up in a city where you've never been before. It's on the other side of the map, like on the other side of the world, sort of thing. And you just wake up, and you wake up in this this temple, and this priest looks at you and she's like, "Oh, you came in here last night, like destroying the place, like shouting about a goat and a wedding ring." And you're just like, what the fuck has happened? Like, how did I get here? Sort of thing. So I'm like, you asked the priest, like, how the hell did I get here? Like, what was this guy with me? Like the guy that I was drinking with, like his name is Sam or something, right? It's like, was Sam here with me? And she's like, I'm not telling you anything until you clean up this temple, sort of thing. So you had to go around like picking up the mess which you apparently made.
That is hilarious.
You pick up all this stuff and then you ask him, it's like, yeah, like you said something about this town, like, and this is like the other side of the map, and then you open up the map and it's like, Jesus Christ, how the hell did I get here? So you go and meet this other guy and he's telling you, it's like, you were talking about a goat and a wedding ring, and it's like, what the hell? And then like you go to another woman and it's just like it's trailing you around the map and you're just trying to piece together like what happened like the night before.
Right.
And it just gets absolutely ridiculous. Like you lose a staff, like you end like apparently you get married. There's a weird goat involved. I won't ruin it too much. Like if anyone like has played Skyrim or like they've got a Skyrim save and they're just like, I've never played this quest, like go and load up your save, go and do this quest. Like it's absolutely hilarious. And you just retrace it. It's a complete rip off from The Hangover, like the movie. But it's great. It's absolutely hilarious. It's well worth it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I do like that because it's got that air of mystery about it. You're like, all right, let's figure out what the hell is going on, and that kind of pushes you forward. Yeah,
it's probably one of my favorite side quests because of that. Yeah, and it's funny. It's like you said though, it's got that mystery to it. And even if you've like finished all the map and stuff, and you know where all these areas are. Just the actual story of like what the hell you did last night with this guy called Sam, like trying to figure that out. It's just really funny, and it's really interesting. And you're intrigued, even though like you've been to all these places and nothing's really new, sort of thing. It's still that's pushing you along to sort of like get through it. But you know, it's one of the best things for the mystery, but it's also the humor of it. Like it's probably one of my favorite things in side quests is humor, like just because it makes it way more memorable, especially in like serious settings sort of things.
Definitely
with them sort of games. So
yeah.
Let's
say one quick one for me is this one.
Yeah, we'll do one quick one each.
All right. This has way more to do with spectacle. So we talked about humor. We talked about a mixture of kind of like humor and mystery. Then we talked about, mystery and like interesting NPCs that fill out these side quests to make them more interesting. One that's pure spectacle that I love, and I think anyone who's played this game knows it, is Kick the Hornet's Nest from Far Cry 3.
Okay.
So basically, you're on the island and you want to kick the hornet's nest. You want the human trafficking baddies to recognize you. This is about you sending a message to them, like, I am not to be fucked with.
Right.
We want, like, one of the main guys to come to this island just to figure out what the hell is going on, and then so that like you can kill him. But first, you gotta kick the hornet's nest. And so the mission is you start on this this kind of high up area, like a mountain, looking over a huge patch of fucking weed, of marijuana plants.
Of course.
And what you go in, and this is when you first get the flamethrower. So you go down this hill into like the weed patch, and you just start burning.
Oh man, I already know where this is going.
Yeah,
please say you got high.
You start burning, and this is back when like Far Cry had like the fire tech.
Right.
So like the way that fire spread naturally, it just looked super cool. So you start like shooting these guards that are just like patrolling this weed field, this marijuana field, and you're just burning all the marijuana plants with the flamethrower. A Skrillex track kicks in, dubstep, and you start getting high. That's and so awesome. Like the camera's like, it's almost like that drunk camera that's in every game. So you're listening to dubstep while you're burning like these marijuana plants and just like murdering all of these soldiers as it's the music. It's so much fun. It's the spectacle about it, and it's probably one of the most memorable Far Cry quests like that I think I've ever played. Anyone who's played Far Cry 3 knows that one for sure. And I that might have been the first dubstep track I had ever heard. This was like before it became a thing.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, I didn't even know what Skrillex was at the time. And I was like, what is this music? It's like the first time my brother heard Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, he was just like, what the hell is this? It like blew his
Yeah.
fucking mind. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Awesome.
pure spectacle wise, that was a great one. And how about you?
Yeah, for me, my last one is less of a funny one, I guess, because like I should balance it out. But the catacombs in Assassin's Creed 2,
Oh,
and
are you kidding me? I have this in my notes.
yeah. I mean, oh, yeah, I still remember these. Like, even though they didn't really have that much story to them, but it was just because they are basically what it is like in Assassin's Creed 2, like you're in an open world in the sort of the cities and stuff, but to sort of break that up, they've got these sections where you can go into the catacombs which go underground, and they're like these self-contained sort of puzzle areas, and they kind of like they're very much a nod back to Prince of Persia, them sort of
Yes,
old school
yes,
games.
yes. Which is why they're
And
so damn good.
right, exactly. So it's just like a self-contained puzzle of you trying to figure out how to get from A to B sort of thing, and it sort of does like the Prince of Persia thing where like the camera swoops through to show you like which way you need to go and all that sort of stuff, and it's your job to sort of figure out using your Assassin's Creed abilities to get from A to B. But it was just such a great side quest to always run into when you were playing them games, because it was just a perfect thing to sort of break up that sort of open world repetitiveness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it
And
put more emphasis on the timing and parkour aspect of the game, which
absolutely,
they've totally moved away from.
yeah,
You'd like push a lever, and you'd have a specific amount of time to like parkour through this area and just like be quick with the buttons, similar to like a Mirror's Edge type of a time trial.
yeah, for sure.
And then slide under this gate before it closes, and then another lever, and it's like all this clockworks going on. You have to run through this area and swing and jump and wall run. Yeah, it was so
I
much
love
fun.
them. I thought they were great because they really added to the game. They expanded upon the mechanics, which the main game wasn't doing as much, because you're literally just figuring out how to run from A to B, like in the city. You're not figuring out like a puzzle as you do it, sort of thing. So,
Yeah, I mean that's fun, but yeah, it's not
yeah.
not a puzzle like Prince of Persia. Can they
Right,
just
but
bring
even
Prince of Persia back, please?
yeah, tell me about it. I mean, Christ. I mean, I work at that company as well. Like, I should probably like knock on some doors or something, right? Like,
So,
yo, why aren't you making these games? Like, they're awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, even though it sounds like pretty standard sort of thing, and like anyone listening to this might be like, yeah, that doesn't sound that great. But even after all this time, like after like what 10 years that Assassin's Creed's been around, like I still remember them catacomb missions
mhm.
from. I think they were in Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Maybe I think they were in that as well. Maybe
Yeah, the
just in
Ezio
a small.
collection.
Yeah. So it was in a few of the games, but it's like so memorable just purely because of how good they were, and I'd still give them a nod whenever I can.
Yeah,
But
and
like,
when you completed all of them, you got like a special assassin's outfit. So there
yeah,
was
for
also
sure.
that too.
Yeah, but like overall though, I like mostly I like humor when it comes to side quests. I think
Mm.
that's my main thing. Just something that's memorable. Like, it doesn't have to be anything to do with the main quest in any way. Like, a lot of people say that side quests sort of they have to filter back into the main quest in some weird way, and like I don't sort of agree with that all the time, because I like the breakup of having these little self-contained things in between the main quest. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely part of it. Like especially in the Yakuza series, like you do like a chapter and you do a huge chunk of story, and then after that it's like I kind of just want to run around the world. And then what happens in those games is you'll just come across side quests. There won't even be a marker for it,
Yeah.
and it's just it's really good. And then it's silly. Whereas like what I just did in the main quest was very serious, so
Hmm.
it breaks it up in terms of tone as well as gameplay, and that
Yeah.
just helps you get through a game, and it breaks up the monotony of like open world games or that type of thing. It's and then the side quest is over and you're like, oh, that was pretty fun, and it kind of you get refreshed, like, all right, I'll go back to the story type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, I think because side quests are so objective, I guess, and I guess that's why they're so hard to make for a lot of developers. Like, on top of like production values and all that sort of stuff, because if you've only got a segmented amount of time and money, like you've got to put everything into the main quest as much as you can. But I think it's sort of difficult because everyone will say that they like certain things from different side quests, so it always suffers somewhere, like with
Right.
every game. So I think everyone's gonna have their favorites, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic, like in terms of like what makes a good side quest. Like, and whenever I've spoken to anyone about this in the past, like it's always different points come up. So yeah, it is very objective.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, but like there's, I could have picked some like funny ones. Like I had like on my list, I had the Vinewood souvenirs from GTA 5, like the two British people, like that British couple. Like I don't know if you played this game, where they just, it's ridiculous. Like they come out to you like, hey, we want the gold teeth from this celebrity, and you're like, what? And you have to end up kidnapping the guy and like knocking his teeth out so you can give it to. It's bananas, and it's completely ridiculous, but it sort of fits in the world, I guess.
Okay,
But
yeah.
there's a load of like comedic ones like that, but I find that super interesting. But there's other people out there who will be like, no, I need a super serious side quest which filters back into the main story and it makes a difference to the world even though it's not a part of the main story. And like I get that, like I totally get it, but it is super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Dead had some good ones as well, especially the one with the guy that was never there, that you could say was like
the god guy or what?
Death incarnate.
Or whatever.
Yeah, you do a bunch of side missions for him, and then at the very end, he's got like a black suit on with a dastardly mustache and the top hat, and then you pull your gun on him at the very end after you do all this stuff for him, and he's gone, and it's like, oh, he never existed, type of thing. Like that's some good stuff. Yeah,
that was good because it like sort of filtered back into the main story, and like it made you think about the main story differently, considering like the ending of that game and like where that takes place, where you try and shoot the guy and stuff. Like if you know the story.
Well, it's like you start thinking about your life and like will you be judged, when your time comes, type of thing.
Yeah, it brings the question of like morality and stuff like that, and it's super great side quests as well. But there's so many good ones.
Yeah. There's a couple of good ones in Red Dead 2 as well, but I guess we're strapped for time, so we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we should definitely wrap this thing up. Just want to say massive thank you for everyone to listening in. It's only the second episode, but again, we will be sort of putting our episodes out into sort of the podcast ether. We're going to find some sort of platforms. Either this episode or next episode, we're going to have the places listed out for everyone. Either in the description of the video of YouTube or wherever else. But the most important thing is to follow us on Twitter, so you can find us at Coffee Beer Cast. If you follow us on there, then you'll be able to find out exactly where we are for all your podcast services, because I know everyone's got their own favorites. If you do have a favorite, then please let us know, and then we'll try and get ourselves on there as well, so everyone can sort of listen in. So yeah, any last thoughts? Do you want to like give out your Twitter handle or anything like that, man?
Yeah, you can reach me at @TheStandUser on Twitter. Giant Bomb and Sifted. And last thing is CD Projekt Red released a free Cyberpunk 2077 theme for the PlayStation 4.
Ooh.
And it shows the main protagonist on it, and I put it on, but I can't look at it anymore ever since you said it looks like a combination of me and Mick Womble. So I think I actually have to change it. Thanks for ruining that for me. It's a pretty awesome theme.
Anytime. Hey, maybe they'll come out with the female version of the main character.
Yeah, I would actually, at this point, I would prefer that.
Actually, I'm gonna have to look at that, because maybe it looks like a cross between, like maybe it's the daughter of you and Mick Womble. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! All right,
I'm just planting seeds. I'm just sowing the field. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Hillfort Games. I make little indie games on the side. Also, I work at the AAA studio, so like I'm also putting out concept art and stuff like that. So if you want to follow me and follow my antics, then you can do it over there. And yeah, well, we shall catch you in the next episode, I guess. So in a couple of weeks, because this podcast is bi-weekly, to sort of remind everyone, it's not going to be a weekly podcast, but we'll be back very soon. So thank you all, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Ta-ta. You end up getting married to some fucking weird like witch thing. That's like this weird she's just like in the woods, and she's like haggard and old, and you eventually come up to her because you need the wedding ring back, because you need to give it back to some woman that you loaned it off to get married to this woman, because you fell in love with her in like this fucking like Firefly Grove or whatever, and you tell this wonderful story, and she eventually like loaned you the ring and stuff. So you have to get the ring back from her, but like you go up to this haggard old witch, and she's like, "Hello, darling," and stuff. And
you're like,
"What the fuck?
What the hell?"
Right,
happened?
and you're just like, oh.